For the spring season of the KYIV art sessions in the Old Session House in May 2025, we collaborated with the VIVID Fusion art platform that brought the history of Ukrainian art in 30 artworks to the Old Session House. Those are the outstanding works by renowned Ukrainian artists. These two amazing men behind the art shield, the founder of Art Shield, Edward Eckert, and the Chief Operating Officer, Wesley Small. So I would like to start first with a question, actually, for you, Edward. And I would like to ask you, I know that you have got your personal background as an artist, and you're an actor, you're now doing your movie in the United States. So I'm interested, how does your personal philosophy and your artistic identity, your background formed Art Shield? How it all started?
Thank you. I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about geopolitics and the different reasons. There was a whole aspect of starting Art Shield which was directly related to Ukraine and what was occurring in Ukraine at the moment I started it, which was in 2022, the full-scale invasion. And I had done a movie in 2013 about the Holodomor, and I had been connected to people in Ukraine and artists in Ukraine. And when the full-scale invasion happened, I was one of the people who didn't believe that it would happen. And it was kind of a wake-up call of how much I was sensitive to Russian propaganda myself, because I'm half Arabic. And I think in the early 2000s, Putin did a really, really good job at positioning himself as someone who could stop America being a bully and being a counterpower and have a kind of a healthier, multipolar world. And the whole white-on-white colonialism, the whole imperialism of Russia, I didn't see it. And so one main aspect of starting Art Shield was for Ukraine. But it was for artists. And I think one of the most important things that happened in my life is when I was 15 years old, my uncle who raised me, who was an artist, died in my arms. He was an alcoholic. And in many ways I understood very early on that this is a bit personal, but I really believe that artists are channeling divinity in many ways. And I think that comes at a cost, and I think there's a great burden to it. And I think that burden sometimes can even be greater when you monetize that force. And in many ways, I think an artist is someone that carries a cross on the Via Dolorosa, and the whole time he's wondering, maybe I should put that cross down, go across the street and open a store and sell mini crosses for tourists. And so all artists are all the time tempted to not do what they should be doing, because what they should be doing is very painful. So I always felt that artists needed support, and so the two things coincided.
Wonderful. But how you did meet with Wesley, and what sparked an idea of creating art shows? How did it happen?
So we met, it was in 2023, I think it was in August. I just got back from Ukraine, and we went to a club. I mean, I was in a club, and someone said like, "Oh, you guys look alike. You should really take a picture together because you look like brothers." And so we took a picture together, and then we started talking. And he said to me, "I just got back from Ukraine," and that is a very unusual thing to hear in London. Someone who's not Ukrainian just got back from Ukraine. I just got back from Ukraine, and we started talking, and we saw eye to eye on many, many things, and then we had our first meeting.
Yeah. We went actually to the cinema together.
Yeah, at 8 a.m. to see Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer.
Yes.
And afterwards we started talking, and first a bit of chit chat, and then we got serious. And Edward he had a vision. He had already started art to have an exhibition in New York, raised funds for children theatre for children of Mariupol. And we started talking more and more, and for him, of course, his background as an actor to amplify actors' voices. But not only actors, many kind of artists. We started talking more and more. I was working more than full time in a completely different business. I was working in fashion. But the ideas that this Edward, the guy that left the park had, they stuck with me after a bit. And I felt, I wish I could do something with him, but I couldn't. I felt it's tight. Yeah. But
then I kept on insisting.
Yeah. The man had a vision and a plan.
Yeah, and Wesley, the great thing is that he had a full-time job. He was working in fashion, and but he was a little bit burned by the industry, and I think in a way by some aspects of it and the lack of meaning. And he was very inspired by what was going on in Ukraine. But I had not much to offer him apart from toil, blood, and tears, I guess, but meaning. And he's been like essential. Absolutely, like we built this together, and I'm immensely grateful because he quit his job, decided to throw himself into this, and we built it together.
Wonderful. So there was a meaning, and Ukraine actually connected you around those that meaning.
Exactly.
Amazing. Wow. So you did meet artists in the conflict zones, and you did go to see them. Could you please touch upon this topic? What was the most impressive thing in finding out the experience?
I think there were two pivotal moments for Art Shield. The first one was on one of my first trips in Ukraine. It was after a heavy bombing in Kyiv, and I saw people walking down the streets with flashlights to go into cold and dark theaters to see a play that was like lit with candlelight. And at that time in my life and career, I kind of had something happened I never thought would happen. I lost passion. I was doing jobs for money. I was like just trying to push my career, but I didn't realize that I had lost actually the passion for the love of what I'm doing. And when I saw how much it could mean for people that were losing everything and they were still taking time to go and see a play, and actually they needed it even more than food or shelter. They needed art so much. And then I saw the artists themselves needing to express themselves, and it gave me a lot more back than actually I gave. So the first job was we started raising money for theaters to equip themselves with generators. And in that process, we were asking the actors to take videos of themselves and explain what they were going through. And then we fell on the stories of actors who joined the Ukrainian army and started and volunteered to fight. And that was a completely bizarre phenomenon, because actors are trained for empathy. Like, an actor can play a war criminal tomorrow and he will not judge that character. He will ask himself like, okay, how did that guy end up doing this? And he will defend the character. So how does someone who's trained for empathy engages in the dehumanizing process of war? And that led to a first project that we initiated called Intermission, which is a documentary about that phenomenon of actors and artists joining the Ukrainian army. Wesley is also working on a documentary about art and artists in Ukraine, which is more about what's happening in Kyiv.
It's Kyiv, it's Ukraine actually. It's how Edward sees like artists in his documentary that really go to the front line. I talk about all the other ones that a lot of times their voice is, neither of them is heard, it's completely not heard. And what my documentary is more about is like showing in that moment of destruction, in that very difficult moment in people's life, in every people's life, it's like how artists are resilient, how the art is important, how beauty is important. Especially at a moment like this, to show that Ukraine is a country full of beautiful, talented, wonderful souls, and not just a country that asks for money to make a war. But in a lot of people, that's not the idea. So the idea is what are we? It's a quest to see what are we fighting for. In the end, are we fighting just for borders? Are we fighting for an idea of what Ukraine was, or are we fighting for preserving beauty?
And in a way, that beauty, I think, is what that was more threatening to Putin than NATO. In many ways, I think that the false narrative that Putin invaded Ukraine because of NATO is I mean, we can see it, like Finland joined NATO, he hasn't invaded Finland. I think the issue was that before 2014, people in Kyiv there was nothing more similar to the people in Kyiv than the intelligentsia and the elite of artistic elite of Moscow. And if those people were seeing people in Kyiv becoming free and prosperous, it was a matter of time for people in Moscow to think, oh, maybe we can do that too. And that was a real threat in terms of like where that civilization can go. And it became an existential thing for Putin to make sure that, well, I'm showing you where it's going.
The border is
there. Yeah, they are. First of all, they are Nazis, and we're going to kill them, and they're this and they're that. And so that was, I think, what we try to showcase, what we try to defend all the time, is exactly the most threatening aspect, I think, one of the most threatening aspects to the Kremlin.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that, like we Ukrainians, I can speak on behalf of Ukrainians, we know that we're in our country and we know that we're fighting for ourselves and for our culture, for our heritage, and for the humanity itself. And I'm really impressed the way that you guys are fighting for us, together with us on our side. And it's a huge support that you're holding our back, you're with us at the same time.
It's also by these actual visits, trips in Ukraine that I also saw. It's not like Edward's vision, it's not just a beautiful vision. Artists in crisis need to be supported, but you felt the necessity, the urgency of really doing something, which motivated me even more to
And you're very humbled as well, because when you go to Ukraine, one of the most uplifting things you see is that you see ordinary people being heroes to a degree that I don't think I have the courage to. I've witnessed things that I know I don't have the courage to do. I've seen retired nurses, 55-year-old woman who's a mother of 5 kids, and she drives a van towards the bombs to go and pick up civilians. I've seen like an IT manager who's 5'11". You would never look at him twice in the road, and this guy is fighting like a lion. So it is, and that's one of the most beautiful things to, like, there's a lot of darkness, but there's so much light when you see everyday people behaving with tremendous honor, dignity, and courage.
Thank you. Wesley, you mentioned that you are doing a movie in Ukraine. So was it your first time? It wasn't your first time when you visited Ukraine. When was the first time you did it? You did your trip to Ukraine?
My first time was in 2023. First time I visited Ukraine. It was overwhelming in many ways, because my first visit was already during a full-scale invasion. It's a country I knew a lot of Ukrainians. It was a country I felt very close to, very tied to, and a country I always wanted to visit before full-scale invasion. So you come and you get a set of rules and follow them, and you come very fast and you feel actually life continues, even in all these horrendous moments. And it's that moment that life continues that you see also the importance of like showing this to the rest of the world. Not everybody is in the trenches or in the basement all the time. People are as resilient as they are still doing their craft, they're still doing their passion. But they are not heard or seen anymore. Media doesn't report this. They cannot travel anymore.
And not only that, it's like the last time I went, I was in the train with a British soldier that is in the Ukrainian Special Forces. He was in the British Special Forces before. And we were exchanging on how we were always looking forward to go to Ukraine for very selfish reasons, like great dentists, great, wonderful service, amazing food. The fact that we don't have the same financial anxiety when we're in Kyiv that we certainly have in London. How people are so welcoming, how you always have a sense of meaning. Beautiful people, amazing fashion, amazing culture. So it's like sometimes people get the wrong image of Ukraine as this country in need of help. It's actually like, out of all the capitals in Europe, it's one of the most vibrant. Kyiv is one of the most vibrant ones. Like, I love Warsaw, but it doesn't have an edge the same way Kyiv has an edge. It doesn't have the same sense of style. It doesn't have the same sense of fashion or art. It's very, very vibrant. It actually gives you a lot. So it's it's exactly what you're saying, Wes. It's this thing of like how the horror invites itself in the ordinary. How you go to like an amazing restaurant. You're scanning the menu with a QR code, you're having the best wine ever, and then 15 minutes later there's going to be a bomb, or you're going to see a woman crying on the street, walking, and you know that maybe she just lost her son or a brother. And so you have those moments where you understand the presence of war, but at the same time life is very, even more vibrant in many ways.
Yeah, that's so true. I know that once you have reflected that in your movie, you started the movie, you started it last year. Was it August 2024?
2024 in summer. I had never made a movie in my life. I wasn't planning to make one either. But I had a phone call from the co-director of the masterclass who said, "Yes, I have an idea. Why don't you come and make a movie during the fantastic Kyiv stage?" Which happens in 5 days, because I was going to go anyway. One thing led to another. I thought I would go there and film some people, do some interviews with my phone. It's a small little thing. I had a whole film crew, and I was the director. So a little bit of stress, but we started shooting that day actually. But the project itself became living a life. So I didn't know where this was heading, but during the making, I met this wonderful philosopher, theologist from Harvard University, and I was asking him questions about identity, because I didn't really know what my questions were going to, and he started talking about the poetry of San Sophia Church, about the beauty, about resilience, in a completely different way that I heard. And I went home that evening after doing so many interviews, doing a lot of stuff that I wasn't used to, and day by day this grew on me, and it started also being a self-reflective moment, like, who am I here? What am I doing here? Am I just a spectator, or do I mean something? Should I mean something? What would I do if I would have to go to war? I've lived in 10 countries myself, so I'm from Belgium originally. I'm still attached to it, but not necessarily. Would I do this for that, or for which country, or why are we fighting? And then through discussions and met him several times, I found a red thread, and I found in the movie, I found why this movie has to be made, why we need to continue making it.
Maybe we should watch the teaser to this movie. I know that the teaser is ready, so if you do not mind, we're going to have a teaser for you.
Oh, so